Alrighty guys, welcome back to another LEGO set review from BrickByBrick, and today we have the LEGO Ideas Steamboat Willie, containing 751 pieces, retailing for $90 in the US. This is the 25th LEGO Ideas set. Yes, it says 24th. That's an error on the first edition of boxes. Supposedly they've changed it in later releases, but I don't think I've seen an updated box yet. So I don't know if they just still haven't sold out of the first production run, or what, but, you know, supposedly they'll change it at some point. But the box here is kind of small from the front, and I was expecting, like, just seeing it on the shelf, I'd feel like, oh, that doesn't look like it's worth $90, but it's a really thick box. This is a strange box size, not something you see very often. Is the Ideas style box. So it's got the nice inside with the flaps that open up well. It's a good looking thing, and actually better than I was expecting it to look. I am a fan of the like solid grayscale color scheme, except for the LEGO logo and the Mickey Mouse logo, and of course the LEGO logo on the top and the Mickey Mouse logos on the back. I just like the design of this box a lot, and I've seen some people say it's kind of boring, but I don't know. I think it stands out from its simplicity. We also have one instruction booklet, which is a little bit small because it has to fit inside the box, obviously. But it's pretty thick. It's got some substance to it. It's perfect bound, so it feels like it's a nice quality instruction manual, and it's got a bit of a blurb in the front about Steamboat Willie, about the cartoon, about the history of the cartoon, and then the fan designer. I don't even want to know how to, or I don't even want to try to pronounce that, but he's from Hungary, that's why. But it has a whole interview blurb with him, as well as both the designer and the graphic designer. I think she's the same one who, the same designer who did the graphics for the pop-up book. I'm correct. And then it just continues that in different languages until you get to the regular instructions, which the regular, like the actual instructions, are nothing special, of course. I'm going to talk about this later, but here's just a look at the inside mechanism of the set. But in the back of the instructions, there's just this one little Ideas ad, which they seem to do now with the whole different background for each set. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is to the instructions of the box. They are really nice. They feel premium. That's why we've spent a little bit of time on them. But let's look at the bottle itself. And this is what we have once the entire set is built up. And I do want to point out that the actual physical model looks bigger than it does in the picture on the box, which typically with most sets nowadays, the box image is about the size of what you're going to get. But I think that on this particular set, it looks a little bit deceivingly small. I have to say I was pleasantly surprised with the length of the boat. And like a straight-on side profile, I think, makes it look better than it does on the box. But with the model itself, we get the Steamboat Willie boat, as well as this cool little display plaque. And yeah, this isn't anything crazy special, but I appreciate it. It's good looking. It's got a Mickey Mouse head shape, almost like a hidden Mickey. And it looks pretty good. The one thing that I do find just a tad weird is they could have just used regular 2x2 plates here in order to make this, or hide the little cross hole. You could sub that out yourself if you really wanted to. It's not hard to do, but at some angles the light will show through and you'll be able to see the white inside. But it does feature a 1x3 printed tile, 1928, which is the year Steamboat Willie was released, like the cartoon. And then it just has this little stand on the back to put it at a nice angle. And that looks good, but one of the things they suggest you do is just remove that stand, use that on the ground like that, and put your minifigures on it like so, and just use that as a display for the minifigures. You can display them separately from the set, which there is a spot in the set for kind of Steamboat Willie to sit, like piloting the boat, or captaining the boat, but you also got to remember that they do include Steamboat Willie and Minnie. Similar, not exactly the same. I'll talk about that when we get to the figures. But they do include those in the CMFs. So this might be a good way for you to display the collectible special ones from this set. And you can use the other ones on the boat if you desire. And here we have the complete boat model here. And it's a pretty decently sized thing for a really detailed idea. It's $80 set, or $90 set. It's not as bad as I was expecting it to be in terms of being small. I like the paddle wheels here, and the cool thing about these is that right away we'll talk about the play feature of the set, which is the fact that when you push the boat along, the wheel spins and the smokestacks move up and down like they do in the animated cartoon. That works great when it works. Now, my biggest complaint about this set is that it doesn't work. And I spent a long time building the set because I spent about 2 hours trying to come up with a solution for fixing the smokestacks. And I'm thinking about doing a whole video on this and why it didn't work in the official design. So if you'd be interested in that, let me know in the comment section down below. But the solution that I came up with was they use some blue 1x2 tiles on the inside of the mechanism in order to act as spacers to make those fit. And the problem was that they weren't falling down with gravity, but I just swapped those blue tiles out for a different color. I was just testing out a bunch of them to see if I could find ones, because I figured the problem might be just that they're too thick, and that ended up working for me. Again, if you want to see a video about that, let me know in the comments down below, and we'll get to work on it. But that means I'll have to take this apart a million times. But yeah, so this feature is a really cool thought. I appreciate it, and I like it when it works. Again, also if you had this like elevated up off the ground, you could just turn the paddle wheel and it would turn those up and down. It works more smoothly when it's tied to the wheels, but it can be done the other way. But aside from that, I think that this model just looks really good. We've got the use of, this is a cockpit piece used upside down for in black here for the first time, and that's used on the front and the back for the shaping of the boat. Up front we have this little bird here on his little perch, and this bird is an exclusive design for the set. That's a really nice thing to have here. Here we have a little suggestion of a door. It doesn't actually open. Inside there is the whole mechanism for the paddle wheel thing, which is all colorful and you know, kind of ugly on the inside. I mean, it almost feels like you're building a completely different set at that point in the build. But as we move around, you also saw on the other side we have a 1x6 tile that says SS Willie, as well as these 1928s. This is the same print that they use on the display stand, and it just looks really good. This up here is just a little flag in the wind, which makes sense. And this up here, I don't know if that's supposed to be anything special, but moving back around, this is all just smooth up here. They use a door sideways in order to create the hole for these smokestacks. And on the back of the, whoops, I knocked over the potato bin. But on the back of the deck, we have some accessories like this bucket, a hammer, some pans, which those are actually important. They play some music on the pans in the cartoon. And over here we have a potato bin that's a exclusive printed brick, and that's really cool. It's just a 2x2 brick, and it's printed on both sides, so it's a nice nice design. And that has a little thing on top. You can remove that and just have a potato bin, but that also can be used in combination with this winch piece here. And this has like a really ridiculously long string. I think it's like almost 3 feet long or something crazy like that. Like I think it reaches my floor from here. I'm not going to demonstrate that because that's kind of pointless, it seems. But you could use that either to just hoist a potato bin around, or you could use it to save Minnie from drowning. I don't know. You can do whatever you want with it, really. It doesn't have a ton of importance to the cartoon that I remember about, at least. But it's a cool little build, and very effective for what it is. And underneath, we also have this little rudder here, and that's just kind of clipped and angled into place, so it kind of wants to move out of the way sometimes if you pick it up wrong. But you know, it locks right into place and doesn't go too far, so it's not too hard to readjust. But the one other cool feature is the captain's cabin. Let's take you up and get a look at that. There's also the whistles up above, which in the cartoon, these move up and down like the smokestacks, sort of, to a lesser extent, but obviously that would be a really ridiculously small mechanism. So I understand why they didn't do anything about that. Also, if you see that printed tile down there, we'll look at that with the minifigures, don't worry. But this roof is removed pretty easily, and I like how they even put the 1x6 tile attached to the roof so that you don't have to worry about the roof being a weird, or you don't have to worry about having a bar across there. But in here we have this light gray ship's wheel, which is exclusive between here and the Steamboat Willie CMF. And inside there, it's pretty plain. You got the life preservers on both sides there, and there's a minifigure base plate in light gray, which actually is perfectly exactly where you want to pose Mickey in order to have him right there. The wheel's a little bit tall for him, and maybe it would have been nice if he could have been elevated up just a tiny bit, but since his hat is so tall, it would interfere with the roof. And I like that you can still see him even through the wheel, and from the side it looks pretty good. Maybe it would have been nice if the wheel could have been moved down just a tiny bit, but you know, for the limited space here inside that cabin area, I think that they did a pretty good job, and it looks pretty respectable. And you can obviously just pose Minnie wherever you want, and it's you get a good look. Yeah, I mean, I think that this is a really good looking model, and has a really cool play feature that was not present in the original idea submission. I definitely think this is a step up from the submitted project. And here is the Steamboat Willie version of Mickey that is included with this set, and at first glance it looks like it's exactly the same as the CMF version, but it actually has some slight differences in color. The hat and the legs are exclusive here. The torso is just plain black, and the head is the same as the CMF version. And actually my CMF version, or no, actually I think it was the one from the set that had a little bit of weird printing around the nose there, but luckily I didn't have to even bother complaining to customer service because I was able to just swap it with my extra Steamboat Willie CMF, and that worked perfectly fine. But here is the CMF version. You'll notice the legs are white, and the legs here are silver, and they look pretty good. They're in like nice metallic silver, so they're shiny, and they feel like higher quality. You notice they're molded in flat silver, so that they look fine from the back, and then the printing around the sides and the front is all nice and metallic, shiny. Looks really good. And also the top of his hat is metallic silver. Personally, I don't really like that. I wish that they had done the white part of the hat in metallic silver, because, I don't know, it just kind of, you're replacing white with silver, and you're also replacing black with silver. I'm not a big fan of that in the color scheme, but other than that, it looks pretty good. And I like the legs a lot here. And there's just a little bit of a better look at that bird. It's really well molded. It's done in white, and I don't know if I think it's dual molded with the black there. And the eyes are just printed on in white. It looked really good. It definitely captures that Steamboat Willie cartoon style. I like this bird a lot. And again, this accessory kind of belongs with Minnie, but she has a bigger one that she's kind of busy holding, so we'll look at it here. This is a 2x2 tile printed with sheet music for Turkey in the Straw, which is the song that plays during the Steamboat Willie cartoon. And, you know, it's a pretty common song. They use it for a lot of stuff, but it was used here, and I'm really glad to see this. It's also got the goat from the cartoon, which they don't include the goat in the set, unfortunately. It would have been awesome. I saw someone render the goat onto the old existing goat piece, and it looks really cool, and it would have been nice to get, but I understand why they didn't bring it back, because that is kind of a retired mold, and they would have had to create a new mold, and etc. But it's a good looking piece, and also a nice accessory. And just like Mickey, Minnie is pretty similar to the CMF version, but with some metallic silver highlights instead of gray in some places for her, because she has the gray skirt and the white printing for the shoes, and here that has been replaced with silver. So her skirt and her legs are exclusive. The dual molded portion of her legs in white is still there, and it's just the shoes that have been replaced by metallic silver, and that looks nice. And I really like the skirt in the metallic silver. I think that came out really well with the white dots, and that is molded in light gray and just painted over. And her face or head is the same, and her hat is actually slightly different as well. Instead of just being a white flower like the CMF version, this flower is decorated with metallic silver. And her accessory here is really cool. It's a nice white and black guitar, which looks really nice. Almost could be used for Miguel's guitar from Coco. But I hope that they reuse this mold and print it specially if they ever make a Miguel CMF. But yeah, I think that this is a pretty good looking minifigure. I think I like this one better than this set's version of the Steamboat Willie Mickey, just because I don't like the silver on his hat there all that much. I prefer where they've used the silver accents on her. One other complaint I've seen is that since these are in the CMFs, it doesn't really make these super desirable. I kind of can almost agree with that, but I do think having two sets of them works really well, especially since they have this display stand here. I would swap them around actually and use the CMF versions on the boat itself, but you know, for the sake of this review, I left those there. But yeah, I mean, you can still display it just like this, or add in these if you also have them. And I think that only enhances the set, especially since they're different versions. And you know, the special silvery versions are sort of cool and maybe somewhat collectible, though I feel like if they had just been the same as the CMFs, that would have been worse. But you know, again, you'd benefit in accuracy here. So I don't know, it's kind of up in the air there. Yeah, I don't know if it's just the Disney fan in me trying to justify the price, but I feel like the design here is just really good, and I don't know, I really like the final product here of this set. Maybe $90 is a little bit pricey. I don't think that any less than $80 can be considered unreasonable. Like, maybe it's $10 over, but $80 is a good price, I think. If you can find this on sale, I know it hasn't been on sale anywhere yet, but if it ends up going on sale for $80, I would have zero problems recommending this. I think that the model is really good. If you're a Disney fan at all, you'll probably want this. It's a cool collectible. Everything about it is executed well, except for the play feature. I like the play feature. I think it's cool. I think it's a nice, it adds to the build experience if it works properly, but yeah, I think I have reasons, better solutions, etc. But I think I also know why it doesn't work, why it failed, and I can almost forgive it, but I do think that they should have offered it better. A better solution for anyone who complained to customer service than, like, this is the solution they offered. Pick it up, buy the smokestack, and then put it down. And for me, honestly, that only breaks it until it doesn't. But if your things are too tight together, then that really doesn't help at all. So, you know. And I have seen some people complain about the use of bright colors in the model, which you can see right there. That doesn't really bother me. It makes it a whole lot easier to build for bag one. And you can't see any of them anywhere. Like, if you look really hard down in between the smokestacks, you can almost see a little bit of yellow, but nobody's gonna look there. And if that really bothers you, you can go ahead and change out that one yellow piece that you can almost sort of see. But, you know, from any reasonable angle of display, you're not going to be seeing that unless you are putting it in a hole in the floor with a glass cover. That's the only way, and like only ever looking straight down on it, which would be a terrible way to display this. I do not recommend that. But yeah, I think that this is a cool set, probably my favorite set of the year so far, and definitely my top 3 idea sets. kind of fighting up there with the Saturn V and Steamboat and Wally. But yeah, I'm a big fan of the set, but I am a big Disney fan as well, so take that with a grain of salt. But I hope you guys enjoyed this review. If you did, let me know in the comment section down below, and I will see you guys all next time. Bye, everyone.